Good day everyone. Welcome back to another exciting and fun-filled learning on our oral contest. Once again, I am Sir AJ and I'll be your teacher for today's discussion. Now, before anything else, let me remind all of you with our online classroom rules. Okay, let's start with the first one. Be on time. Sign in at least 10 minutes before the class. Okay? Second, be prepared. All your things must be prepared before joining the online class. Third, turn on the camera. Always turn your camera on, or if possible, so we could see each other. Do not eat. We do not eat during online class session. Number 5, dress appropriately. Wear something comfortable, but of course, presentable. And then mute your microphone. Mute your mic whenever you're not talking. 6, raise your hand. So raise your hand to talk or to ask teacher for help. And most importantly is to enjoy this new kind of learning. Alright. Now, let's have a short recap. A short review of our last week's discussion regarding oral communication activities. We have learned that there are two types of communication. And what are those? The first one is the formal type of communication. The second one is the informal type of communication. On the first type of communication, we usually use predefined channels or routes. Usually, we are talking with professionals here, respected people, and we choose or select the right words in communicating with them. While on the second type of communication, which is informal, this is a casual conversation with your peers, with your friends, or to your loved ones. Aside from that, we have also learned the different types of oral communication activities. The first one is the one-on-one speaking, the small group or team-based oral work, the full class discussions, class debates or deliberations, speeches and presentations, and oral examinations. Now, as a part of a review, let's try to unscramble these letters. Okay, let's have the first one. It involves participants who argue one side throughout or in a particular issue. What do you think is the answer? Right, good. That is debates. Okay, let's have the second one. The type of communication where you share information with your friends or peers or loved ones casually. Alright, that is informal type of communication. And the last one, the type of communication where information is transmitted with the use of predefined channels or routes. That is formal type of communication. I hope you have learned something from our week 4 discussion regarding oral communication activities. For this week, we will be discussing about the different types of speech context. Let us have the learning objectives first. Number 1, define speech context. Second, identify the various types of speech context in different situations. And employ appropriate verbal and non-verbal behavior in different speech contexts. Let's define first the meaning of speech context. What is that? Context, when referring to speech communication, is the surroundings, circumstances, environment, or background, or setting that determine, specify, or clarify the meaning of event. So speech can happen in different types of communication. Basically, there are two types of speech context, the intrapersonal and the interpersonal communication. Let's try to differentiate the two. The first one is the intrapersonal communication. Intra means within, which means it focuses on one person only, where the speaker acts both as the sender and as the receiver of the message. There are actually 3 levels involved in an intrapersonal communication. We have the internal discourse. In this case, you are thinking, you are analyzing, or you are concentrating. You are just talking with yourself. Okay? Now, for the second level, the solo vocal communication, this time, you are now speaking aloud to oneself or to yourself. Okay? Sometimes you use this when you are in the front of the mirror or you are motivating yourself or cheering up yourself. And then the third level is that you are talking with yourself, okay, but then this time through writings or through one's thoughts or observations. Usually, we do this third type of intrapersonal communication by writing in our diaries or in our personal journals. And then, let's now talk about the interpersonal communication. Now, inter, which means among or between. This time, you are not talking to yourself alone, but it takes place between you and among people and creates a personal relationship between and among them. There are different characteristics of interpersonal communication. First, it involves two or more people. It is continuous. Okay? It's spontaneous. Third, it need not be face-to-face. So sometimes when we talk about interpersonal communication, it could also be mediated or it could be aided by technologies such as computers, cell phones, or gadgets. It also involves verbal and non-verbal. Verbal with the use of words and non-verbal with the use of gestures, movements, or even facial expressions to convey our meaning or the communication itself. And then, it is affected by noise. And the last, it involves feedback or response. What are the different types of interpersonal communication? There are actually four: the dyad, the small group, the public, and the mass communication. First is the dyad. It is a type of communication that happens between two people. Take note of that, two people. Examples: you offered feedback on the speech performance of your classmate. Okay? You are talking with your classmate alone. Next, you provided comfort to a friend who was feeling down. So in this type of communication, it involves two people only. You and the person you are talking to. Now, for a small group communication, this is an interaction involving at least 3 but not more than 12 people engaged in face-to-face interactions to achieve a desired goal. So some examples of small group communications are the lecture discussions, panel discussions, even in-class debates, and open forums. So these are the small group communication involving 3 but less than, okay, not more than 12 people. And then the third type of interpersonal communication is the public communication. It enables you to send or deliver a particular message before a crowd or a large number of people or audience. What are the examples? Number 1, you deliver a graduation speech to your batch. So you are now talking with a large number of audience or people. You participate in a declamation or debate contest watched by a number of people. You are now addressing the message to a large number of audience. That is public communication. And the last, we have the mass communication. This time, it refers to communication through different media. It could be digital media such as television or radio, and you can also use printed media or print media such as newspapers, magazines, or books, and of course the social media with the use of the internet. So the moment that we use these types of media, that is mass communication. You were able to reach millions of audience or a large number of audience. Okay. So let's try to do this simple activity. I want you to read, analyze, and identify the type of communication being described in the following statements. First one, a couple making plans for Christmas vacation. What do you think is the answer? What type of communication is that? Very good. That is a dyad communication because of the couple. Since couple, they are two, they are making plans and preparations for Christmas vacation. So two people are involved in this type of communication. So that is dyad. Second one, delivering a graduation speech, okay, in front of many graduates and many teachers. That is a public communication. Third, thinking out loud. Okay, you are thinking, you are analyzing. That is intrapersonal communication. Very good. How about number 4? Watching a televised briefing of the latest COVID-19 cases or updates. Okay, with the help of the media, that is mass communication. And the last one, daydreaming. Okay, you hit it right. That is a type of intrapersonal communication. So for our key takeaways, so we discussed the two types of speech context, the intrapersonal and the interpersonal communication. For intra, there are three levels. We have the internal discourse, the solo vocal communication, and the solo written communication. For interpersonal, which involves two or more people, it could be dyad, small group, public, and mass communications. Now, for your assignment, so I have here 5 items. All you have to do is to identify or decide whether the following sentences are true or false. Number 1, interpersonal communication may be mediated. Number 2, there should be at least 3 participants in an intrapersonal communication. 3, feedback is expected in an intrapersonal communication. Number 4, it is possible not to involve words in interpersonal communication. And the last, panel discussion is an example of dyad. Aside from this, I want you also to answer these short questions precisely. Number 6, based on what you have learned, define speech context in your own words. 7, do you agree with this statement? Speech context can influence one's behavior. Why or why not? So justify your answer. And number 8, which speech context do you find easy to practice? And which do you think is difficult? Okay. So, do you have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, I think that's all for today. So, thank you so much for listening. God bless us all and keep safe. Thank you.